Good evening, viewers. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matthias Ofiku, news editor of the Namibian Sun newspaper. Welcome to another exciting edition of Evening Review. Tonight we're joined in studio by the Defense Minister, Honorable Frans Kapofi, and it will definitely live up to the hype. But before we get to the interview, the newspaper. We're joined in studio by the Defense Minister, Honorable Frans Kapofi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me here.
No, it's indeed a pleasure to have you in our studios today. Let's get right into the things. April 2021, you were appointed to become the Defense Minister. How's the journey been so far?
So far, so good. It's not a new terrain. I started my career in the public service there. It has been 26 years that has passed. Many things has happened there, and that there are still remnants of things that we did that is still there. So, so far so good. Yes.
How would you define the status quo of the ministry when you got there?
Oh well, I found an organization that very lively, active. Yes, and of course, strong compared to where we left it. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your vision. Before you leave the ministry, what would you like to leave as a legacy of the ministry before you go?
You mean where I came from, where I'm when I leave now this ministry?
Yeah. One day when you eventually leave.
Well, I want to leave that ministry in a very solid footing, as it's supposed to be, and I suppose it is still on the solid foundation. But I want to leave it with a reputation that this is a ministry that one can trust. Yeah. That's a ministry the public can look at, for assistance, for whatever there is that the Ministry of Defense, or to look at in the hope that, have a confidence that this is the ministry that is ready to defend Namibia. Yeah. Yes.
I'm sure you are aware there's been a lot of public discourse has been rife around the ministry in terms of corruption and maladministration, whether it's true or perceived. How are you addressing some of those perceptions?
You just said I'm there for about 26th of May, April or something. It has not been that long. And you know, you got to familiarize yourself before you start rocking the boat. You need to look at what is happening there. You have to talk to people. You have to allay their fears that you have not come there for a witch hunt. You are there to make sure that things continue. If not the same way, but in a better way, and we have to improve our public reputation and all these things. Many of these things that people say are, some are individualized or hearsays or perceptions, and of course you don't come there and see these things on the wall. you have to talk to people, you have to follow the leads and all those kind of things. But yes, once we are settled down and we have learned the trades, the current trades of the ministry, we will get to work and to see to it that whatever there is that needs to be ironed out has to.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Let's move on to another topic, the issue of the border friction in Zambezi. Your counterparts are accused of abusing their powers as far as it comes to the citizens within the territory you are supposed to protect as a defense minister. How will you handle this going forward?
Well, I'm not sure whether it is my counterparts' policy, but maybe the elements of their forces, their defense force. But I'm not sure whether the government of Botswana shares the view that they should humiliate or should threaten or they should kill the people of Namibia. I suspect this is just things that are done and acts of indiscipline committed by the rogue soldiers of the army. And I believe they, by now, given the publicity they have gotten out of all these kind of activities, I don't think that they will continue to sustain such kind of publicity, because it is not neighborliness. This is not good for. That's not what you want to have between two neighbors who are very, very friendly.
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't think that we should be very much worried too much that they are threatening the sovereignty of Namibia. They definitely are not.
Yeah.
Yes.
The reason why I'm asking that is because even the government of Botswana has over the years repeatedly preached that it's not a government policy, but we have over 30 lives lost over the years in this, so clearly it's happening, whether it's a government policy or not.
Yeah, well, I agree. It's something that has to be seriously looked at and be addressed by themselves, because you don't want it to escalate. Yeah. You want people to live the brotherly way. People have lived in those areas, and the water course of the Chobe and the Zambezi have been the livelihood of our people there. And I have a feeling that the cordial relation that exists between our two countries should really translate into a practical thing where we at one point we will see that this kind of activity ceased to exist. And well, at one point, that area of part of Botswana is sort of a game area where the BDF there is there to protect their species, which is also a common heritage. So much so that we all care about the existence of those species. And of course they had a policy where they say the poachers, they don't arrest poachers, but we think that people must be brought before the court of law to be found guilty and be punished for the action that they have taken against, or illegal activities or illegal actions or poaching, if I may say. That people should be taken to court and be arrested and be taken to court. They were always saying soldiers don't arrest. I think that is a policy that cannot be sustained. Yes.
Should we also maybe perhaps look at deploying our army along that border?
Well,
if things continue at the rate they are?
Deploying the army will usher in a different scenario. We would not want to replace our police force with regard to the policy of our borders, because as yet we are not at war with Botswana, and we do not want to be at any time be at war with our neighbors, because we have very cordial relations. But that friction of their soldiers killing our people is not sustainable, as I say, and it will continue to cause tension between our two people, and our people will feel threatened. And well, if you have your people threatened, you are there to ensure that the safety of your people are guaranteed. Yes.
Yeah. What do you make of sentiments from residents in that area that the Namibian government has left this whole matter in the hands of the Botswana government.
Oh, well, this is just political things. There's no really, there's no, I mean, there's no government anyway that will just cherish the killing of its own citizens. You are there and you are elected by that people, and you should make sure that you pay attention to their concerns. And we are doing that. Yes. And there are those who really want to exploit that. And it will not be in any way in the best interest of our countries by trying to incite the conflict between our two countries. Yes, two wrongs don't make any good. Yes. So therefore we believe that the existing relations and the effort that are there now will culminate into a permanent peaceful coexistence between our two people. It does not have to happen through the conflict, through shooting at each other, because war has never brought peace to anything. Yeah, you don't want to create peace, because yes, you can make peace when it is necessary that you have to make peace, because the situation has gone to an extent that peace has to be made. And to be attained by other means. But for now, that situation doesn't exist.
Yeah. Just lastly on this topic, the joint report on the killings of last year.
Yeah.
How far is that from becoming public?
That's not really in my terrain. That is in the terrain of the police, Minister of Home Affairs, and the President. It's not really in my area of activity. So, and I think the President is on record as having said it's between the two of them, and they are sharing this report. And why do I have to say more about that? Yeah,
because it's part of your mandate, protecting our territorial sovereignty.
But you see, the report was carried out. The investigation was carried out by the two police forces, and the custodian of the police is current as we speak is the Minister of Home Affairs. And I think the President is on record as saying that they are discussing. They have shared that report between himself and his colleague in Botswana, and I have no reason to doubt that indeed they are busy working on these things.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier on that you wouldn't want a situation where the army is doing the work of the police. The last 2 or so years, there's been outcry by the public regarding the involvement of the military in police operations. Going forward, will we still see this under your helm?
Yeah, well, you must know that one aspect of the army is to provide support to the civil authorities. That kind of assistance, that kind of operations or assistance is given because the police at some point they don't have enough manpower to be able to do whatever they needed to do, to mount roadblocks, to do this, to do that. So for that, they do ask requests. When I was Minister at Home Affairs, I will ask my counterpart at the Ministry of Defense to help me with manpower so that we can go and do this or the other. So that will continue. But I was talking specifically on the border that we do not have to use our troops to patrol the borders now. The situation is not as yet there for us to do that. But should it be necessary that the police will be asking to say, oh, in this specific area of activities, we will want you, Minister, to help us do that. So that should not be a problem. Yes.
But some soldiers are silently saying that we are not trained to deal with civilians. That's why you see when it comes to the killing incidents, in a joint patrol, it's always the members of the army that are in trouble.
Yeah, well, it is not precisely true that they are not trained to deal with civilians. Soldiers are highly trained people, and they know exactly how to. There are specific training courses that train them how to behave, because they are there to protect the sovereign. The sovereign are the people of this country, and for anyone to claim he is not trained to deal with the civilians is completely out of order, because sometimes these cases are just committed by people who simply are rogue. Soldiers who are just come out of nowhere and they get angry, and because they want to be soldierly, they want to be seen to be, that they're soldiers and what and what. Yes, but in most of the time, these are young ones that tend to behave that way.
Yeah.
But it's not an outright thing that whenever soldiers are there, there are killings and all the shootings and all that kind of things. It's not really the case, but it's individualized cases, and of course we take action against them. Yes.
Yeah. Are you happy with the current perception of the public towards the military?
Of course, our people are quite very happy with the defense force, but I don't know exactly what perception you're talking about, but you may want to refresh my mind as to which ones are those. But otherwise, generally, the public is content with the defense force. Yes.
I'm asking that because
Yes.
there has been talks that the army is just there to be brutal towards the citizens, and that's why some have questioned its presence in these police operations. And you also have, I believe, one of the you mentioned earlier on that some instances it's just rogue officers.
No,
You
not
have
even
someone,
not
you have one of them in court for murder.
The soldiers. A life of a soldier is a life of a soldier. Sometimes you have those instances. It is even better now that they are at peacetime. But if it was in the wartime, that's different. But certainly, they have carried more operations in the country in support of the police, or sometimes on their own, supporting the public. Sometimes they go out of their way to do whatever, and where they can reach and where they can go. So it's not always that they are brutal. It's not that they are brutal, but you find it's not a policy of the army to be brutal, but you find elements there that do this, just like in every society. Even in, we have a lot of people killing each other here and there, but because they are doing it as individuals and not necessarily sporting uniforms or rifles, it's not given prominence. But these are all citizens of the same country, but they all commit these kind of crimes. Yeah. But certainly, police or military officers or military men and women are just human beings, and sometimes they err, just like any other person. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's move on to another topic that's been topical in Parliament over the years. The accountability levels of the Ministry of Defense, the budget allocations. The opposition has complained numerously over the years that the allocation is too high, the ministry is too secretive when it comes to accountability. What do you make of those assertions?
Well, sometimes it's unnecessary criticism because people don't want to inform themselves of the kind of environment the Ministry of Defense or the Defense Force operates in. But information will be provided or should be provided on the need-to-know basis. And there's nothing secret necessarily in terms of providing information as to how budget is spent, etc., etc. Of course, there are instances where we'll economize on certain information. Yes, we should, but not to the extent that we deny someone the information that must know this information. Yes, therefore, sometimes it's just simply to find a way of getting to the government and say, yes, you give this money to these guys and they are just secretive, we don't know what they are doing. But it depends how you are asking for that information. How do you want to access that information? For what reason? What kind of information do you want? That information should be provided, and I believe the Ministry of Defense has been providing that information. Yes.
Yeah, you've been the Secretary of Cabinet for many years in the past. I mean, I'm sure when it comes to accountability and transparency levels, you know what's expected in the terrain. So would you then say those who are making those calls, it's uncalled for calls?
Of course not. I would not say these are uncalled for calls, but maybe it's just calls that are exaggerated, not necessarily that they are factual, but they are entitled to these things. And as I said, for sure, I think they must have been given some information. Maybe they have gone to a point where they wanted to know more of things that the Ministry of Defense were not prepared to share.
Yeah.
So, but for sure, I can guarantee that I will never refuse information, for example, to the Auditor General. The Auditor General is a citizen of this country, and he or she will know what is supposed to be for public consumption and what not. So I therefore will not be interested in the tug of war between ourselves and the Auditor General. No way.
Well, your predecessor was.
Well, I have not seen that. I have not seen him fighting the Auditor General necessarily, but well, he had some difficulties in sharing some information. How that developed to that extent, I won't tell because I was not there.
So my last question on this topic,
yes,
Minister.
Yes.
The issue of the perceived corruption at your ministry.
Yes.
And the issue of the removal of your predecessor by your appointing authority, His Excellency the President. Do you think that compounded the outlook on the ministry to say, you see, we told you all these years, the ministry, there's corruption. Now look, we have this minister removed by the President because of this.
I'm not sure. I cannot remember President removing the minister and charging him or accusing him of corruption. I thought the minister has resigned.
Yeah, definitely resigned.
Yeah, and the resignation, I'm not sure whether it's a consequence of corrupt accusations. I thought there were some other reasons, for example, things that he could not... Declarations, something of the kind, because we are required by the President and by the conduct of our business that we should declare. And when we declare everything. Yes. So
did you declare everything? Oh
yes, I declare whatever little thing I have. It's there in the file. I cannot hide anything because that's what I declare is what is there. There's nothing else. And you can go check my background, find out, see, check, use other eyes that you have to look around and sniff around. You will find those things that I've declared.
So if I go look around and I find something not declared, will you step down?
Well, if it is, if I have lied, I certainly cannot stand that. I will definitely have to rise to the occasion and be brave enough to say why I have not declared that or what, because that is the right thing to do. You cannot be asked by your leader to say, in my case, I will find that not easy to do, not to honor, not to declare as I'm required. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Because there is no reason why you shouldn't. I thought maybe that is exactly what made my colleague to say, well, I haven't done this, and I perhaps have not lived up to the expectations. So therefore, I have caused some uneasiness in terms of for the appointing authority. Therefore, I give way. Yeah. Yeah. I must, and that's I think it's an honorable thing to do, and I think he did that. And I don't think that he left because he was accused of being corrupt. I have not seen that. Yeah. I have not read about it, but you guys, you are much more informed. I have not.
Yeah. Let's move on to party politics.
Well,
you are of course a member of the ruling SWAPO party. Everyone is waiting for the party's congress.
Yes.
Next year.
Yes.
Especially in hindsight. And in the back of everyone's mind, the outcome and the aftermath of the 2017 Congress. Going into next year's Congress, what do you think is the best way to move into this as a united fold?
Well, first I must tell you, I am not in the leadership of the party. I'm a cadre of the party. I was brought up by SWAPO, and SWAPO has its procedures and processes that has to be followed, and there are selection criteria how one can get in that leads up to the Congress, etc., etc. So those procedures will be in place. Yes, and I believe that is what the leadership is prepared to do. Yeah. Yes.
Do you hold any ambitions for higher political?
Of course not. Of course not. I've worked, as you know, for many years as a civil servant, and I have almost been depoliticized. but I have not been in the leadership of the party. I've not been, well, apart from being at a branch or lower, not having any official function there. But I don't really, and I don't even know how I can proceed. I can start that process, because there are people in the Central Committee, there are people in the Politburo. How do I jump in now there and then start somewhere and now push myself into that, and to no, I am not.
So if your comrades say, Comrade Kapofi, we think you should stand for this position, will you decline such a nomination?
I'm not sure there will be comrades who will be saying those things.
Because I'm sure you've seen the informal public discourse. Your name has been mentioned.
Yeah,
many times also.
Even your own newspaper has mentioned me, and it made me angry because...
Why is that?
Because you know what you did. You said you have failed to implement certain things. The ministry is going down, therefore, and you have been homophobic, or something like that. Therefore, if you have ambitions to the presidential or something, you must drop out. And I've never anywhere expressed that, my view on them, all my intention. But then here comes the son, just dropping my name like that. I felt very offended by that, because it was not fair. Yeah, it was really not fair. Even if you have found rumors, these are rumors that I don't share in. I've never participated in a discussion like that. And I don't think my comrades in the party will jump the whole structure of the party and come to me, while there are people who are already there in the leadership of the party.
But that won't be new to the party.
Well, I think it will be new, because we have never had a situation where just a person from nowhere is picked up and then...
Well, you have a situation where the youth league of your party is not happy that young people who are not in the structures of that body are being appointed to parliament.
Well, there's no way in the Constitution of the Republic that says, or even in the Constitution of SWAPO, that anybody who is being selected by the president should be picked from the structures of the SWAPO Youth League. It has never, it's never, no way it's written.
I think it's just a natural expectation.
Yeah, well, it's an expectation, but they must also expect that the president has a country to run, and there are many, the constituency from where the president draw is big.
Yeah.
So people must just wait. That time will come. I mean, we all were members of the SWAPO Youth League at some point, and in the executive leaders of the party Youth League, and we towed the line. If the president decides to do what, we salute and we proceed with the transmission of the SWAPO party's views and ideologies. Yeah. So it shouldn't be an issue, really. Yes.
Yeah. I know earlier on you said you don't buy into the rumors, and you are not happy with the way we reported on the rumors that, or whether you have higher political ambitions. But remember that we were one of the newspapers who rightfully earmarked that you are one of the possible candidates to be appointed to lead this ministry. Look where you are today.
Well, I don't know. You were just maybe looking at who else has some military background in those who have left behind, those who remained, who maybe not necessarily that we're right. but you just hit the jackpot because it's not necessarily that you were right. But that does not also give you the right to say, to really insinuate or to say, I harbor the ambition to run. I felt very hurt by that, really, because it was not fair.
But if you know it's not true, why does it then hurt you so much?
No, because you see, you have people there in the leadership. You have comrades there who are there. Here comes this guy who's nowhere, and they feel maybe it's true. It creates that aspersion that this guy is. They start forming an opinion about you, which is not correct thing.
So you are afraid your comrades will be looking at you with a certain eye?
Yes, that's the problem, because they think that I'm now going to upset the whole thing, and I don't want to upset anything. So therefore, people must be assured that no, this guy. And I'm no threat to anybody. They should not feel that this guy has an ambition. I don't have any of that ambition, not at all. I don't intend to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Minister Kapofi, lastly.
Yes.
During your tenure as cabinet secretary, you were at the SME Bank, the SSC, at times when big scandals occurred there. And many people have used that to, whether it's to discredit you or to tarnish your name, to say, how do you have this man in cabinet after all those things that took place while he was there? Is there a mismatch somewhere there? What do you make of such assertions?
Well, you see, you are told, you are asked, or you are assigned to do certain things. And with good intentions, you accept those responsibilities. But in the process, you are not alone in that process. You don't have the keys to the safe. That today I always go with the keys home. The keys are with someone else. So, but these are unfortunate incidents or incidents that one learns from. The SME Bank, for example, the latest, we are now taken to court. People are using it. I've seen people shouting, yes, they've stolen money, they're eating money and all these things. But I'm yet to see where that money that I have is kept. And I suppose those who have been investigating must now, it's time maybe they show the public the leads where we have hidden the money. But so far the charge that is there is that we have been negligent. It's something that is in the court, and it's something that I thought we should allow the due process to take its course, and I do not have to defend myself here or otherwise, but I thought maybe we can leave it that way. The social security, what has happened there was very unfortunate, because there we had firmly decided that no money should be invested anymore. We should keep our money in bank accounts for now, because we have learned, we've lost a little bit of money in our offshore investment, and we said, no, this one, now that we have recovered our capital and a little bit of interest, let's not invest money in this. So then, just within a period of a recess, some people found their way to the management, and they started, and the management overlooked that resolution. So when we realized, when we returned from holidays, we were told there was some money given to these people, and these people are taking time from bringing the money back. We said, which people are these? These ones. They said, yeah, but how can you do that? But yes, I was there, and unfortunately, it has to be me, because I was the chair. So, but at the same time, I took action. To make sure that that investigation, I called in the police, authorized, signed, get the police to investigate. everything else is history now, what has happened there. But what is very clear and what I'm proud of is that I've never been accused of stealing money, and I will never be. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Minister Kapofi, it was a pleasure having you here today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.